I promise I'll get started with the example, but it just occurred to me that these days instead of calling it marketing, people have started to call it marketing science, and I find that pretty interesting. And I think that's the future of marketing. There is no firm today that should be purely thinking in mass marketing. There should be no firm today that is not thinking about individual level customers, right? There should be no firm today that should not be using technology to measure their customers better. And the reason, for it to be a science, measuring things. Meaning we have data, and that's why it's science, right? And that's I think that should be the takeaway. What data have you captured, right? We have ways to explore this data, right? And we have ways to make models. We have ways that we can optimize and then make business cases. That sounds like a science, and that's the reason why it's no more marketing. It's just marketing science, and that's what business analytics is. Let me ask you a question. How do you compute corporate profit? But now you might say, well, that's not a hard question, right? Just revenue minus cost, and that's corporate profit. Let's say the example that we talked about earlier, that example where you had years and when you had somebody give the money or not. If you're thinking in the old school way, what you would do is you add up the columns. Somebody gave money, money one, add the ones. That's the old way of thinking. Profit in business. Add the columns. These days, and this is what my intuition is, instead of thinking what each product makes or each sector makes or each year we made, we should think of it in a slightly different way, business analytics way. The columns are not your profit centers, but the rows, that individual customer is your profit center. You should be thinking in terms of each customer. How much should I sell it to each customer? How much profit do I make from each customer, right? And then I add up how much money I made from each customer, how much, instead of adding columns. And from high school math, if you remember, either you add the columns or you add the rows, it comes out to be same. So the classic finance way of thinking, classic management marketing way of thinking is add columns. I think we should think of in terms of each customer and add it over the customers to come up with corporate profit. Okay? I think that's a very interesting way of thinking things, right? Some customer might not be profitable. Fire those customers. Don't spend money on those customers, right? And cultivate and retain the customers from which you can make money. Right? So that's how you should think of profit in terms of analytics. It works one customer at a time. So again, make profit one customer at a time. And that's really the underlying theme of the examples I have chosen. I'm going to tell you about Google and I'm going to tell you about Amazon. And they think about profit one customer at a time. That's what separates them from other technologically challenged companies. And how has technology allowed them to do so? One of the reasons is they lie at the intersection of data and statistics and technology and all these things. That's probably why they are capable of doing what other companies are not capable of doing. So